I have turned off everything except for the contacts and faults. I also changed the colors and made the lines a little thicker. What's important right now is that you are working in data view, so it's this icon here. We need to draw an arbitrary contact around a specific working site, and then we're going to run a program to shade in all of the units between our contacts. So to start off, we have to make this the only selectable layer. So you go to selection, make this the only selectable layer. We need to go to start editing up top here. Contacts and faults, okay. And now we have our little black arrow for the edit tool. So to start off, I want to zoom in, and I'm going to draw a contact that connects these lines. It's going to be a little jagged, but you can work to have nice smooth contacts that work with your map. But just for demonstration purposes, if you go to the edit tool and you go to create features, which is this button, this window pops up here. You can go and click on something like that has a line with a unit associated with it. When you press that, you bring up construction tools, we have line, and now we have our cross. And if you click on these 4 lines and then double click here at the end, we have created another line. Oops, double click. This black line, which right now was what we had pressed here was mountain ore. So we click our editor tool and grab this line again and go to attributes. Instead of mountain ore, we want to change it to contact. And then you press away. Double click on contacts and faults, and then we have to press add values, contact, okay. And if we go down to the contact unit, which is up here, and double click, we can make this this highway red color and press OK. So now we can see where our contact is. We want to clean up any jags in our line. One way to do that is to press the edit tool, double click, and then if we go to here, this is the delete vertex tool, and you can press on the green vertex and straighten up the line so that it is now straight. Another thing we're going to want to do is to connect 2 lines. One way to do that is to double click, and if you see here, this is the red point, it's called an endpoint, and when you hover over, the tool changes to this. So in our snapping toolbar, you want to make sure that use snapping is pressed, and you also want to make sure that these boxes, in fact, are highlighted. And if that's the case, we can take the red endpoint and we can drag it over towards our other line, and you can see it's telling us that if I was to release the mouse, it would connect to something called that line's endpoint. You can also connect to edges, so that's a vertex on the edge, and it'll snap right to connect them exactly. You can also turn this feature off. We undo. If we don't want it to snap, we can drag it over, and you see we don't have this snapping option anymore, but it allows for some fine tuning if need be. We need to add another tool. So if you go to toolbar options, customize, Command, and then write split. And then in the editor, split tool. So you can take this one and also drag it up into your toolbar. The split tool comes in handy if you need to edit a line and chop it. So let's say we want to fix this line. You go click it first and then go to the split tool, and you can press maybe somewhere right here. And now you can see that this little part of that line has been split. And so, for instance, you can delete it. Another way that we can connect our lines is through the extend tool. So if you select two lines that you would like to connect, and this tool here, the extend tool, and then you press that, as you can see here, it has extended over to this line. Another handy tool is the Finalize Lines tool. In order to use that, we first have to go to Create Features, and then our construction tools, we're going to press Line. And if we draw here, double click, we've created this new line. If we go to the Edit tool and we select all three lines here, and press this Finalize Lines tool, it's going to give this tolerance. I use this default, it's okay. And now what we can see, it has taken these lines and chopped them into different parts so that we can go ahead and delete in order to create contacts. And as always, you can go to press any line and press attributes, and you can change the unit, so we can make this contact if we wanted to. And then as you can see, it's changed to our contact line. So once you're satisfied with your edits, you have to press this Save Edits button. That's very important, because if you just press Save over here, these edits will be lost. So you save your edits, and then you can stop editing. Now, the goal using those methods I described is to have all these lines turned into polygons that are completely closed off and connected with each other, and then to draw an area around the units, the contact line around, to encompass the entire area. Go ahead and open up the catalog, and under the folder that you're working on for your map, right click, press a new shapefile. We're going to name the shapefile map units poly underscore label. This is going to be a point, and then edit the coordinate system with what you're working in. So for this one, I'm working with NAD 1983. And then just press OK. And so now we see it here under our table of contents. So we are going to open up the attributes table for this. So you can right click, open attribute table. Here underneath the title table, we want to open and press this add field. And then the name is going to be map unit. Type is going to be text. And the length we can put to 10. And press OK. So this is a blank shapefile at the moment, and we'll be adding information. This is what's going to be the map unit names, so they're going to pop up as labels on our map. So the next thing we want to do is to right-click and make this the only selectable layer. And then right-click again, edit features, and start editing. Press create features, and you can close the catalog. And under this map units, we're going to press that so that our construction tools pop up, and here we have point. But before we use this, you want to make sure that snapping is turned off. So double check that. This will let you add a point. So the idea is to add 1 point per polygon, and that's going to become your map units label. So in this case, I'll add one here, add one here, and here. And then you can press your editor tool to stop adding points once you've got enough that you want. The attributes table should still be open, and you scroll over to map unit, and now this point here is what's highlighted, and so you can edit this box here and add whatever unit that is called on your map. So for this sake, I'll just write unit 1, unit 2, and unit 3. So if we open up map units poly label and right click the properties, and we head over to labels, you press label features in this layer, and under text string, change it to map unit. Under other options, placement properties, and open that up, and we're going to tell it to place the label on top of the point. And then under symbology, we're going to change this symbol to a cross, and then make this cross small so the size can be something like 2 or 3. And press OK. And then press apply. And OK. So now you can see our units have been labeled. You can keep the cross up while you are working and making your edits on the map, and then in the final product you can go ahead and delete them, but it's helpful if you forget to label a point in this where we did this part here. You'll know it because you'll see the cross up without the label. Save these edits. And now we are going to go back to the contacts and make edits on this file, so you can tell it to be the only selectable layer. I've cleaned up these lines a little bit, and I want to point out something that's important is that when you're making your polygons for the different units, that when you connect your lines to your outer contact line, that everything meets really nicely against that line, and it's not too far over or underneath, otherwise we can't make the polygon shapes correctly. So the first thing to do here, we need to open up the toolbar, we're in the toolbox, and find the feature to polygon tool. So that is going to be under features, which we go to data management tools, and then features, and feature to polygon, and we can double click to open this. So your input feature is going to be your contacts and faults file. You are going to save this underneath the folder that you've been working in, and you can name it something like map units poly, and then 01. You might have to do this a few times. You can press save. And then you want to make sure that this preserve attributes is checked as it is here. And then something that's very important is this labels features option. And this is where we will use the map units poly label file that we had created earlier. And then you press OK. So now it's doing feature to polygon. You can see it working down here. In just a second, it'll pop up as a polygon, as you can see in green. So if we double click on this new shapefile that we have and go to categories under symbology, in the value field, you can drop this down and write map unit, and then add all values and press OK. So now we have different colors corresponding to each of the units that we have delineated based on the polygons and the labels that had been placed in the previous step. So this is the workflow for how to make a geologic map. And in the end, I'll show you what my map looks like after it's been cleaned up and all of the colors have been correctly labeled.